Is this thing on? This is A Story of Sorts, the podcast mostly about bookish stuff, and I am your host, Karina Pereira. I know what you're all thinking. Karina, it's been 2 years since you last had an episode out. What happened? Well, it's not a very long story, or even an interesting one. I just kind of got burned out. I had the best time in season 3, interviewing authors, talking to authors. It was just an amazing time, but it became a bit too much. I was doing an episode every 2 weeks or so. I started with pandemic, I was doing episodes alone, and then I decided I want to interview people because I like talking to people. I like talking to myself and being home alone, just talking to a microphone, but mostly I like talking to people. The thing is, when you do interviews, and I want to do interviews properly, you have to read the books. You have to read a lot of books. You have to do a lot of research. You have to get the questions ready, and you have to prepare a whole lot of stuff just to be able to go into the interview. And then you gotta edit a whole ass interview that a lot of the times lasts for like 2 hours. And that was a bit for me. I don't like editing, but I'm also not making enough with the podcast or anything at all with the podcast to justify paying someone to do the editing for me. But if the episodes are a bit shorter, or if I don't have episodes that are all of them like 2 or 3 hours, it's easier. But it got to a point in which I felt like reading the book sometimes was something that I had to do, when a lot of those books were something that I also would like to read without the necessity of having to read them for the podcast. So it kind of ruined things for me a little bit. The editing and preparing things, it just became a bit too much. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to take a break. And I was supposed to, like, the last episode that I recorded and I posted it in November 2022. And I was supposed to kind of start again in 2023. I even considered restarting in 2024 after a whole year, but I still didn't have it in me to pick up things. And even to this day that I am recording this right now, I kept finding reasons not to do it. Not because I don't like doing it. I love podcasting, but because something was always amiss. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. I didn't have things planned out in advance. So I just decided I'm gonna go and do it today. No more excuses. We're going into it even unprepared. I've been doing this, like, I did this for 3 seasons. I can continue to do it for 1 more or even more. I want to continue to podcast. It gave me a lot of joy to just share stuff with you, to have a place that I could share with people, to, have people coming to me and saying, hey, I really liked how you talked about this, or made me think about this or that. So it's something that I still enjoy doing, and it's something I've been meaning to pick up in the last 2 years, but I kept finding reasons not to. And today I just said, enough, I'm going to do it. And the thing that I promised myself, and I'm going to go through with the promise, is I am not going to put any pressure on myself about the podcast. As I said, this is a hobby. It's something I do for myself. I'm not being paid for it. And I am going to record stuff, edit stuff, and post stuff when I feel like doing it. As I said, it's not like I'm trying to make a lot of money or become a podcaster as a career goal. It's not what I'm doing. It's a hobby. So I have to make it sustainable. And that's what I'm going to do. So there are a lot of podcasts that I enjoy that post whenever they have something to say, whenever they want to talk about, for example, a book or a new game that came out. So not all the podcasts that are out there have a schedule, and I just decided I'm going to do this for myself. I want to continue podcasting. I'm going to do it sustainably, and we're going for it. So here I am. I am back. Now, in the last 2 years, of course, a lot of things changed. One of the things that changed was that I became a gamer. Yes, I know that and it's the funny thing. When I became a gamer, I realized that the intersection between gamers and readers is actually broader and wider than I had expected. I used to be a casual gamer when I had like my first console, which was a Nintendo DS back in, 2011 or so, or 2010. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I never considered myself like, oh, I do this so often that I am a gamer now. But I got a Nintendo Switch in 2022, if I am not mistaken. And in 2023, in April, I started streaming. And then I stopped for a while because I didn't really have the means to do it well. And then in October, I started again. And in January 2024, I reached affiliate. So I've been streaming. I'm not streaming as much as I was streaming last year because, I don't know, things go and come back, they flow, they return. And with hobbies, it's always like that. I'm super into something, then I stop for a while. Sometimes it comes back, sometimes it never returns. Hello, knitting. I have never knitted again after I tried to make a beanie. But a lot of my hobbies do come back. Reading is always there. I do gaming now. I'm not gaming every day or every week even sometimes, but I've been gaming. So I figured if I'm going to do this podcast, and because it is titled, and I know myself, and that's why I titled it this way, I titled it the podcast mostly about bookish stuff, because I know that my passions change and they accumulate and some of them go away. So when I did the tag for the podcast, my intention was always to bring stuff that I wanted anew to the podcast, to give myself some room to talk about other things. So, yes, I am going to be talking about books because it is still a podcast about books, but I'm also going to be talking about gaming, even maybe about coloring, because I've been coloring lately. I don't want to put myself in a box. I don't want to niche myself down, and I'm going to be talking about all this. So, when will I be back? As I said, I don't know. This is the intro. This is like the new presentation of season 4 of a new season. I still want to interview some people, but I'm going to do things a bit differently this time. And mostly, I just want to have fun with the podcast. I'm going to record whenever I have the time, whenever I feel like it, whenever I feel like I have something to say, I want to talk about something. And and this is what we're going to do. And if you were there when I was, when I started the first seasons and you're happy that I'm back, thank you for being there for so long. Thank you for your support as well. If you're new here, well, I hope you enjoy. There's quite a few episodes if you want to listen back, but please do not take it on me about the quality, etc. Because, it was a few years ago. I also didn't know what I was doing, as I still don't. But welcome. And I hope you enjoy my ramblings about books and games and all the cozy hobbies and whatever I feel like talking. I am back. I'm happy to be back. And if you want to know when a new episode is out, you know how to subscribe. I actually changed the episode now to my Substack. So I was on, I think, Spotify and another program for podcasts that I forgot the name. I changed it to my Substack so that everything is together in one spot, because that's where I have my newsletter. So feel free to listen to the previous episodes if you want, the interviews that I had with authors, which were really fun to make. And I'm just excited to be doing this again. And I'm going to be gentle with myself, which should be everyone's motto. Just be gentle with yourself. And do this for as long as it brings me joy and whenever I feel like it. You know how to find me on socials. I'm all over the place as a story of sorts. And by all over the place, I mean Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and now Substack as well. And now on the podcast. And just, hit the subscribe button here. And I'll talk to you very soon.